Welcome to Gotta Run. This is Will Sanchez. I have two very special guests today. Their names are Nicolas Brumelot and his daughter, Marie Brumelot. Nicolas is in the midst of a special quest. He is running 12 marathons in 12 months on behalf of the charity Imagine for Margo. Marie is cheering him on as a member of the Queen's Distance Runners. I'm thrilled to have them as guests.
Hi, Will. Thanks.
Thank you for having us.
Before we go into Imagine for Margo, the charity that you're running these 12 marathons in 12 months, introduce yourself to our audience, Nicolas. Tell us where you were born and something about your growing up years.
So I'm a French citizen. I was born in France, in the French Alps. And very early on in my childhood, I was lucky enough that my parents moved out to Southeast Asia, Singapore. That's where I picked up my English. And also a second good decision of my parents was to put us in an English school. So we moved from one day to the next in an English school. And this was a life-changing thing for me because I did not speak a word of English. I was in a class with students all with uniforms. And after a few days, I said thank you to the teacher because they were all so nice, so kind to me, attending me because I did not speak a word of English. And then my teacher said, this might be all my life, treat others in the way you would like to treat them, which was exactly what the class did towards me. And this has accompanied me all my life.
Excellent. Were you only 8 years old or 9 years old at the time?
I was 8 years old, exactly.
Now, as a kid in Singapore, was there a lot of running around, playing athletics?
Well, lots of sports. I was in an English school, so sports was part of the of education, and being a member of the school teams was a real achievement and real recognition. So I started on and played soccer for an English school. Obviously, was a thrill for me and a big recognition. Also played rugby until I got injured, and that's when I got frightened, and I moved on to tennis. And I played very intensive tennis. When I was small, my dream was to become a tennis professional, even though I didn't have the skills. So my father convinced me otherwise, but I would have loved to.
Oh, cool. It sounds like your parents were very supportive in all ways.
Yeah, they were very supportive in getting us into new environments, getting us into sports. My dad would probably have liked better that I studied more than I practiced sports, because I practiced lots of sports. When I actually accumulated the teams for the schools plus the tennis, I played in school, outside of schools. For me, sports was nicer than school.
Okay. Now, did you go on to college at some point?
I went on to college, so I did my primary education in the French system, then my secondary education in the English system, and then I moved on to do my bachelor's degree in the American system. So I guess I'm a citizen of the world in some way.
What did you study in college?
Business administration. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And so business is generic for many things. And so I did a bachelor's degree in business administration.
Excellent. Now, after school, you needed to decide a career for yourself. What was the process for that?
Well, my father was an entrepreneur, so he got my brother and I into an entrepreneurship as a kickoff to our life. So we started running our own business, and then it didn't work out in the way we hoped. So I started working in finance for another company, and quite early on, I met who was to become my partner, with whom we've created several companies over the past 20-odd years.
Okay. In fact, one of the companies you founded was an online travel agency.
Correct. Yeah, we founded in 1997 what is today the biggest European online travel agency. So for the American citizens, it would be the equivalent of Expedia for Europe, which is today called Odigio. So we were the founders of this group.
Okay. That's MisterFly?
So MisterFly is our second business, which we started after we left this one.
Oh, so your first company was the Expedia version, and then you decided probably to take some time off before you found your second venture?
So we had a 2-year break. My partner and I, he traveled the world with his kids. I traveled quite a bit, and that's when I started picking up running.
But at some point you got married because you have a daughter here. So where in that process did you get married?
I got married very early on. I was 22 years old. And then the girls, Mary is in the middle. She has two sisters, an elder sister who is 3 years older than her, and Sophie, and then a much younger sister who's 10 years younger than Mary. I find in Mary, since I also have an elder brother as well, I know what it is to be a second to an elder brother or sister.
Okay, because you're a second.
Exactly, I'm a second. And so we do have the same kind of temperament, the same kind of attitude in life. Many things are common towards us, and that's maybe because we're just seconds.
All right. Well, welcome to the show, Marie.
Thank you.
As I mentioned, you run for the Queen's Distance Runners.
Yes, that's right.
But before we get to that, I think in your bio you decided to move to New York to continue your education at the tender age of 18.
Yes, that's right.
How did your parents react to that when you told them you were going to New York?
They helped me through the process, actually. If it wasn't for their help, I wouldn't be here today. As he explained, he had a whole very international kind of childhood. And both of my parents always encouraged me and my sisters to have, not to do the same, but to have the options of doing the same. And we all find something attractive about, I guess, the American educational system. And through the help, I got into NYU here, which is where I did my undergrad. And it came out to be an outstanding experience, and so good that I'm still here.
Okay. What did you study as an undergrad?
I did my bachelor in civil engineering.
Ooh, civil engineering?
Civil engineering and construction management.
That's a tough science.
It was interesting. I learned a lot from it. I also learned that that's not what I wanted to do with my life.
Okay, you didn't want to build roads and bridges?
It's part of it, and there's a lot actually that comes into this field. But now I continued my studies into a different subject.
Okay. Well, you come here at 18, the big city. Where were you born, actually?
Right by Paris in Versailles.
Okay, so you were used to the big city.
Absolutely. Paris is not quite a big city like New York City. It's cozier. It's much smaller. It's not New York City scale.
Okay. Well, not everybody makes that quick adjustment that you did. What was it about your parents that helped you face the world the way you are facing the world as a self-assured young woman?
That's a good question. I guess they really taught us how to enjoy things, how to make decisions for ourselves, and to just live life to the best we can. And I guess that resulted in confidence and in being able to find the place that suits us for the best, right?
Oh, sure. And your two sisters, are they scattered?
Yes, I think my whole family is scattered at this point. So he lives in Paris. I'm here in New York. My oldest sister is currently in New Zealand.
Your baby sister?
She's still in Paris. She's a little too young to be moving out of the country yet.
Oh, okay. So she's probably looking at you two guys and going,
Yep.
so it'll be my turn soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you came to the States, were you a runner?
No, absolutely not. I've always had a healthy lifestyle. We were always encouraged to do some types of physical activity, maybe not to the extent that he did, but some type of activity.
So how did you discover running?
A friend suggested, while I was doing my undergrad, a friend suggested that I join the cross-country team of the school. And I kind of just said, why not, for fun? And I did, and
How did your first race go? Was it memorable in any way? The first, competitive?
Yes, my first 5K collegiate cross-country race. Sprained my ankle mile 1 and finished barely under 30. And so it was not even an average runner. I was just...
Okay, but that didn't discourage you, that you got
No,
into
I thought there was a lot of fun involved in running. It was just the whole, I guess it's whole social environment, and it brings a lot of adrenaline, and it's a lot of fun. So once my ankle healed, I was back and did another 5Ks and another one, and they were surprisingly getting significantly faster.
Yes, you're turning to be one of the faster women at the Queen's Distance Runners. So,
Try.
so after you decided civil engineering wasn't the career for you, did you decide on a different career path?
Yes, I'm currently doing my master's in real estate development. I wanted to find a field that is not completely unrelated to what I did as an undergrad, but that was still significantly different.
Real estate development. Oh, so you might become the next Trump.
No, that is definitely not my goal, especially not at this point. But just trying to find a career that would allow me to grow, but not something that would be too involving. Like never want my career to be my life, and vice versa. I just want something that can be
How far
part
along
of
are you in the real estate development field?
Well, I'm currently doing my master's with a 2-year program, so I still have just about a semester to go now.
Okay. Did you get licensed as a real estate person? How does that work?
Well, licensed, if you want to be a broker, you can be licensed. That's just a matter of taking an exam. Real estate development involves a lot of things. It involves finance, it involves construction, it involves marketing. It's actually a very wide field.
Oh, okay. Well, you might show up at The Apprentice in the future, right?
Who knows? Maybe.
Maybe. But you're now a member of the Queen Distance Fund, as I mentioned. So how did that transition happen?
So I started, as I said, running cross country, and that came to an end after a significant injury, as we can call it.
Very significant.
And so I took some time off running, not like I was doing much at that time, but I took some time off. And through this time off, I really built the ambition of really running, of really putting time and effort into it. And how did the connection happen? With my significant other, who was living in Queens back then, he met Kevin, who is our team captain. And we did a few runs with them, and they eventually led to where we are today.
Oh, so the significant other have a name?
Luciano Medina, who's the coach.
Oh, he sat here. Well, I remember at some point he mentioned your name, and he mentioned that you were known as the boss.
The boss.
Kevin is well known to give everybody on a team nicknames. How did you get the nickname the boss?
I think I must have wrote a caption on a picture that said like a boss, and I think it all grew from there, if I recall well. Yeah, I think that's where it came from.
Okay. Do you like your nickname?
Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
Okay. So let's go back to Nicolas. So you said you started running when you were 50. Sounded like about the same time that Marie was running here in New York. So why did you want to run at 50?
Just for a challenge. I'd never run before, so it was just a challenge for my 50th birthday. I thought really make it a big challenge or a real challenge, not just an easy one. So I said, well, a marathon. So I'll just do a marathon. People thought it was crazy. I'd never run before. I was a very passionate golf player. Golf is very technical, but you don't have any intensity in terms of physical effort. And so I did this marathon. I trained for it, and I did this first marathon, which went pretty well. And
which one was that?
Dubai, January 2013.
And when you heard about this, Marie, what was your first thought?
As I said, I was really not into running then, so I didn't know much about the sport, but always supportive, what he was doing, and he did it very well, especially for his
so that inspired you, in the back of your mind probably, to get into more running.
I guess so. I guess it kind of had an impact because whenever I got into running, he knew about it, and he was always someone who was aware of the time commitment that it is.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a big commitment. Did you train by yourself?
I trained by myself. I just read books and magazines and went on the web, all by myself, yeah.
Okay.
Testing and doing the mistakes.
Okay. All right. Well, we mentioned at the beginning that you're right in the midst of running 12 marathons in 12 months. You've done 9. But this is for a very special cause. This is for Imagine for Margo, a charity. Tell us, what is Imagine for Margo, and why is it important to you?
Oh, well, it's important for me because in my professional life, we've always been supporting charities, and charities as a company manager, we've chosen my partner charities that speak to us, that have meaning to us. It's always been around. We find that the worst injustice is childhood, and namely children that die or are really very badly sick. Because they're supposed to be playing, learning, having fun, doing wrong things, learning what, and they're so innocent, and they're our future as well. So for us, we got involved in charities around children for 20 odd years. And so when I started this new company, one of person I know outside of my professional life said, and knew that I was picking up running, said, and I told her, I want to find something that makes sense for me into running, you know, brings, not just doing it for myself, but who cares what time I achieve in a marathon. And so I happened to meet Patricia Blanc, who is the founder of Imagine for Margo, who happens also to be the mother of Margo, who was a child who died at 14 years old of a brain tumor, cancer brain tumor, and who set up her charity in memory of Margo, and they actually lived in New York for 4 years. So there's also a tie to New York City as well. And her daughter left a life message which her parents wanted to be perpetrated through time, and so they set up this charity. And this charity, since her daughter ran as well and her husband runs as well, was around running. So running, children, and the way they conduct this charity, which is, you know, very bright colors, very lively, everything is done with a smile, with lots of happiness. Thought I really wanted to get involved, and I had a very good fit with the founding members of this charity, and got very actively involved personally first, and then through my company.
Okay, and your company being MisterFly now.
Exactly, MisterFly.
In fact, you decided to make it a corporate because their logo is on your webpage. So this is more than just a charity. This is something, a lifelong commitment, actually.
It is a commitment. It also, we have lots of young employees. You know, show them that you take things, but you've got to give back in life. There are lots of good causes, obviously, but this one speaks to it particularly. So, giving them the example of giving back. Okay. Life has given them many things.
Okay, so obviously you love children.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So you're doing these 12 marathons in 12 months in various countries. You're flying all over. I think you told me you're doing it in 11 different countries.
Exactly.
So being a travel agency person, what tips can you give, let's say, to other runners that are doing a destination marathon, going to a different country like you have?
It's a question of planning. You got to plan ahead. You know, if you want to get the good deals, you want to get the good prices, you got to plan ahead. So I like to plan things a lot. Plan ahead and buy from the guys who are the trusted websites, you know, because the US works differently to Europe. In Europe, we don't have this price transparency, which is in the US, the price that's shown on the landing pages, we call it, after you put in your dates and your destination. This is basically, unless you buy options, will be your final price. In Europe, there are a lot of tricks whereby you only find the price you will pay at the end. And usually, in most cases, the first price that is shown on the website is far away from the price you'll be paying. So it is not loyal to customers. So I would say in France, namely, I would buy from MisterFly. We treat our customers with strong loyalty. And so the price that we show on the first page, on the first screen, is the price we will pay when you cash out, when you pay
so that's
for your ticket.
That makes you different from the others.
Exactly, yeah.
Excellent. Didn't know that. Now, another thing that I heard about is to fly as early in the day as possible. Is that a good experience on your part, to travel? And the reason being that the crew would be there overnight, so they'll be fresh. You don't have to wait for the plane to come in.
Being on time is important to you. Yes, definitely the first flight is the one that's, if that one is delayed, then you'll have a very strong delay at the end of the day. So taking the first flight is the best option to arrive on time. It's not the cheapest necessarily, but so depending on the priorities that you set for yourself, obviously it could vary from, if it's price, maybe in the middle of the day. If it's being on time, then the first flight. So it all depends.
Okay. There's no 10 commandments to follow. It depends on your situation.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Now you've done 9 marathons so far. You're here to visit your daughter.
Exactly.
Because I think your next marathon is at the end of the month. It's going to be where?
It's in Portugal, in Porto. So going to the south of Europe now.
That'll be number 10. And then next month in November, you do number 11.
That's in Florence, beautiful city in Italy. We're running the same day as Mary runs the New York Marathon. I'll be running in Porto, except I'll finish before her. So even though she runs much faster than I do, I'll be finishing before her.
Well, he gets a 6-hour head start. So.
All right. That'll be in November.
It's first weekend of November, exactly.
Okay. Are you going to be doing one in October? You already did it.
I ran the Amsterdam Marathon last Sunday.
And you get bling for each one of them. Of the 9 you've done so far for this year, I know you've done Dubai as your first. Is there one that's memorable, for some reason? Wow.
The last one, actually, Amsterdam, for many reasons. I had one of my employees who was running with me, and it was his first marathon. So being able to, for one, I inspired him to run, so I was proud, and be there next to him to show him through the steps of this marathon. And he also, I got him to set goals, because it's important in sports to have goals like in life. So he set goals and he achieved it. So we were both really proud, and it was a huge moment for us. And during the race, around the 36K, I don't know when exactly, some guy came from behind and tapped on my back because I had my music really loud at the time, because my legs were getting painful. And the guy turns around and shows me his t-shirt. He was running with an image. He was also running for the same charity. And so we exchanged a few words. He said, "Go on, go." He probably knew what I was doing. And so it was a real happy moment. The sky was fantastic weather. It was clear blue skies, pure blue skies, like my shirt. But in terms of emotions, definitely was a very special
the
race.
camaraderie.
Exactly.
That's excellent. You run all your 9 marathons
with this year, with this shirt, yes.
Oh, right. Since you're going to be running a marathon in the next 30 days, you're obviously not going all out. You have to run smart. So what is your pacing strategy when you're doing these 12 marathons in 12 months?
Well, as I run these marathons to collect funds for the charity, I thought I'd collect more funds if I really set a goal as well. So I gave the people who donate to the charity, I told them I would like to run all 12 marathons below in the 3:30, so below 3:39. And so this is the pace that I set to myself. I've run all 9 half marathons of the marathons in the minute or in the few seconds, 1:45. So I aim for 3:30 every time, and I stick to it pretty close. So I'm pretty steady.
Just about that.
I'm pretty steady, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, so don't you average
3:36 now? Yeah, it's coming down. So
for these 9, yeah.
Most people would be delighted to run 3:36 once a year. Now you mentioned your fundraising. Margo herself died from a brain tumor when she was 14. How long ago was that?
That was 6 years ago, so not that long ago.
And I guess the slogan on your shirt says
"Children without cancer," because cancer for children is the highest cause of death within children in the Western world. More children died of cancer than of anything else. In France, for example, there's more than 2 children that die every day of cancer. You're not counting the ones who are sick or in hospital, so it's dramatic.
Yeah, oh gosh. Did you run this last year for Imagine for Margo as well?
Yes, last year I ran 3 marathons. I ran Boston last year. I ran Berlin, so I did 3 majors, and New York as well, all for Imagine for Margo.
Oh, great. And how much money were you able to raise last year?
Last year I collected $15,000.
And how are you doing this year?
And this year, well, obviously I run a lot more, so it gives me more occasions to try to stimulate fundraising. And to date, I'm close to $40,000.
Excellent.
Never enough, though.
Okay, of course. It's all going for Imagine for Margo, and which is based in France.
Based in Paris, out of Paris,
out
yes.
Of Paris. Good. Do they have a chapter? Well,
they have a US chapter, yes.
They
actually,
do.
They opened the chapter last year, just at the New York Marathon, and they're hoping to do a big event this year. So they have a US chapter now as well. Imagine for Margo, Children Without Cancer. They actually work with professors throughout Europe. So the European charities for Children Without Cancer, because there are several in many European countries, they actually combine the fundraising and they work closely. So I was a month ago running a race for Imagine for Margo out of my marathons, and there were professors from Italy and from England, because the Imagine for Margo is funding research in Ireland for one, and in Italy. So they do combined research, European. So they do it cleverly as well.
We know what your challenges are for this year. Mm-hmm. Do you have plans for 2017 to new goals?
I want to continue to raise money for Imagine for Margo, and I'm actively thinking of it. I might be using the social networks to come up with ideas as to what could be the challenge, which should involve obviously running, should involve traveling, because I'm a travel agent, so it makes sense. And until I find the challenge for 2017, I already registered for a marathon in January, so I continue running and I don't stop it. But I want to move to longer distances, to ultra. So 2017 will be probably the year that I move from marathon to ultra distance.
Finally, Marie, I think you're running New York City coming up. Do you have a goal for that?
Yes, the idea would be to get as close to or under 255. We'll see what the day has for us on November 6th.
Pretty aggressive. You've done other marathons before?
Yes, this is my third one. This is the second one that I'm actually trying to put effort in. My first one was New York City last year when he came over.
Oh, so you ran it together?
Yeah, well, almost.
Almost.
You were probably a little faster.
A little bit.
Because he was running 3:35 and you were trying to get close to 3 as possible.
And so the first one was kind of just trying to feel the marathon distance and just complete it, enjoy the experience. And I did so. I was very happy. And then I ran Queens in the spring. The inaugural Queens Marathon.
Put together by the Queens Distance Runners.
Yeah.
Your
outstanding
club.
event. That came out to be wonderful. There's nothing like having your team all over the course.
What keeps you there, the Queens Distance Runners?
It's a very supportive team.
A very supportive team. I mean,
it's the first thing I guess you should say.
You're becoming better known every time you run in the New York area because you've got very good times. I think you came in like the top 6 in the last race you did.
Staten Island, yes.
Staten Island half.
Yes, that was right.
Almost on 120, and it was terrible conditions. You got a headwind.
I said training is finally kicking in. That's the first thing I said when I saw my time.
So you're saying that what keeps you at the Queens Distance Runners, besides Chino, is the support of family.
The support of the team. It's everybody's friendships.
Geez, if you do the sub-3 for New York, obviously that'll qualify you for Boston. Is there a different challenge for you, athletically speaking, in the next year?
Well, I'm not looking so much year by year. I'm more looking at a bigger picture. I have this understanding that training is a build-up through the year, so it just takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time to reach a certain level of training, and it takes time to get the games from it. I have big goals, especially I'm still a newbie in the sport. It's still just been a year that I'm supposedly training for marathons. So I don't know what my body is going to allow me to do, but it's been responding very well to the training, and I look forward to doing a little more every cycle and just to get faster every cycle. And
well, excellent.
We'll see where that leads me.
That sounds very sensible. You must have been raised by very good parents.
Absolutely.
Very sensible.
I hope so. Hope she's a good person. That's what's more important than anything else. You know, more than performance, it's being a good person.
Well, listen, on that note, thank you both for coming in.
Thank you, Will.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure.